I don't get a lot, God the way. And I don't pay my rent, God the way. There be one for my hand, but God the way.
Together to welcome Ndema, Ndema.
Good evening, and welcome to this Men Impacting Differently for the second time in 2 years. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon, and I feel like we're going to break free this afternoon. Someone's going to break free. You know, I've been reflecting about an individual. I was thinking about what to say today, to be honest. I spent some time over the last few weeks when I was assaulted with the invitation. And I thought, what am I going to talk about? I might have overstayed my welcome with the number of talks I've given here. And I started to reflect on men impacting differently. And the person who came to mind was David in the Bible. David, but before he was anyone, I thought about David and Goliath. I thought about, what was going through his life. He was a young man, possibly in his teens, when he was identified. And an old man came to their home, and he was called for. He was out in the fields, looking after the sheep and the goats. And they called him, they said, they're calling you. And he's not normally someone who was invited to these kind of sessions. I would imagine, I'm paraphrasing. But they called him and said, listen. And so, he came rushing. He was smelling of goats and sheep. And you know what you do the whole day? He's a shepherd boy. And this old man says, yes, he's the one. He takes the oil, pours it over his head, says a prayer, and leaves. Can you imagine what was going through the young man's mind? What's just happened here? What's this about? Why me? Why me? He was anointed to be king at that point. But there was already a king on the throne. There was a king sitting pretty. He was strong. He had the army. He was in charge. And someone comes and identifies David as the king. And then leaves. And nothing happens for a while thereafter. Maybe, I don't know how long, it doesn't say how long it was, but maybe a few years, Israel comes against the Philistines, and the giant of Goliath emerges. And it says that all of Israel and Saul's men were terrified and dismayed by this man, this giant who was 6 foot tall. He had, his hands were as big as your waist. He was 6 or 7 foot, actually. He was a huge guy. So I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you today. There are many giants that are stopping us from impacting differently. There are many giants that we see and are standing in our way to the promise. There are many giants that are stopping us from fulfilling our purpose. And there's simple things. There's simple things of what if. Most of them are what ifs. They're kind of these, when you do your scenario planning. What if, and what if, and how do we, what if. There are many of those. And they really don't exist. If you stand up to them, they disappear. But because we stay in the scenario planning mode, they remain real. They keep taunting you and saying, if you do, you will see. Bring me someone. There's so many. But if we stand up to them, you'll chop their heads off with ease. With ease. It's all theory, not practice. So I want to encourage you that as we think about this men impacting differently, I wanted to share that story because I relate to it on many levels. many ways. Some of it has been accidental because we've just been forced to face giants. Sometimes God takes the initiative. Sometimes He's the one who takes the initiative. When you procrastinate long enough, He'll, push the agenda forward and bring things fast forward so that you have to go through the fire. But He knows that you can get through the fire. Maybe you didn't know. He has every confidence that you can get through the fire because He's the one who equips. He's the one who equips. So I will relate to the story because there are so many giants that we have faced. Some of them we still don't believe that we went through because they didn't, all practice was lost. Whether it's a deadline was moved or it just dissipated. Or it doesn't matter. We're still here standing. So we know that what He said will happen. Will happen. I encourage you to face those giants. Don't let them go. Because you've been called for greatness. That's why you come to purpose and leadership. You came here searching for something. You knew that there was something in the air. You could sense it. There is more. But you haven't quite grasped it. But you know that it's there. That there's an extra thing that I need to be doing. There's something bigger than what I'm doing. That's why you went for that. So persevere and push through. And push through. Because those giants are really not there. They're defeatable. They're defeatable. Every one of them. Every one of them. One day we'll share the full, unadulterated version of the years after. Not the ones before, because the ones before are now dead. But the ones after, those are the ones that are alive. We'll share the full story, unadulterated. Then you'll either fight or flight. You know the two. You'll either fight or you'll take off. Thank you.